Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Quantum Art, where I'm going to go over and explain to you all of the messages and such that I got for January's painting, which we called Integration. I know they're not fancy names, but they really kind of do describe what the function of the painting is. So here's the painting. And this being the first month of this year, I obviously created a painting the beginning of January as well for the entire year. And like that one, it described this needing to be very open as we go into 2024, and this receptivity to just new ideas and new things, because we've never been here before, so be surprised. So this painting, being the first painting of January, it did surprise me, even though I'm not supposed to be surprised, in a way that the painting took a turn. And I had to really let go of my mind. I like to be, I think, smart, whatever that means. But I like to use my brain in a lot of ways. And so I struggle a little bit sometimes really letting go and being creative. And though people probably say, what are you talking about? You're extremely creative. But I still have to practice regularly to just really let go and just keep kind of stretching the boundaries of wherever I'm at, just really letting go and channeling into new information. And in this way, this painting kind of represents that. This is a dragon that I probably, it's very creative, meaning that it's just very imaginative. And that's part of this month's energy, is really letting go and being open to this kind of creativity and just new energy. Because anything really brand new, like this dragon I created from thin air, right? There's a vulnerability to that kind of creativity. And so they kind of started the messaging for me in that way. And whenever I say them or we, or I'm just talking about the entourage of spirits that kind of help me share all of this information. So yes, I love them. And so this painting, they really wanted to say, hey, they really understand how much bravery and courage it takes to truly be creative, to come out with an idea that no one has ever heard of before, or to create a dragon that no one's ever seen before. There's a huge amount of vulnerability in that space. And you have to be brave. You kind of have to be like, hey man, this is what I see, or this is what I think. And so that message, I feel like, is for everybody, really being brave and courageous in your own world, in whatever way that might be, in regards to how you see and how you think and how you feel. Even though they might not understand, because you're very aware of how they feel about something. Let's say they like the movie, so you don't want to tell them that you don't like the movie, right? So even though that's a simple thing, if that's something that you're doing, I'm sure there's a possibility that you might be doing it in, bigger areas, matters that are important, like how you really feel about maybe the relationship, or how you feel about your job. How much it might impact them, so you keep it silent. And in this way, Spirit's really saying, be brave and be courageous, and it's time to be seen. And this whole year is about being seen at a larger capacity. So we're going to be kind of doing some baby steps. So in this way, just kind of getting comfortable with the idea around staying really open to new ideas and new energies and sharing them. The other kind of theme in this month's painting is also obviously about being the dragons themselves, right? And you see there's a pathway here behind the dragon. I actually painted the dragon last. And you can see there's this ancient kind of pathway that's the shape of a hexagon that's leading. There's two ways in, right? There's one part of the painting that's really darker in value, is more purples, greens, blue colors. And on the other side of that portal or that archway is another kind of reality with the colors of red, orange, and yellow. So very complementary and very opposite and very different. So that's part of the energy this month, really noticing where there's this opposition or this conflict. So there's going to be conflict that's arising. So kind of like parts of us that, it's going to show up in all sorts of different ways, but just noticing that kind of conflict. Conflict's kind of a strong word. So, but it's just going to be kind of like differing parts or warring parts within your being. Like, I like this and I don't like this. And so really noticing where that might be occurring, because it's going to come up, whether it's in a relationship or work or just even interpersonally with emotions. You're like, I'm really happy, but I'm also really sad. And this painting's about kind of learning how to integrate those parts. And Brenda and I had a beautiful podcast, and we're going to continue to have some podcasts around these ideas and how to integrate this energy and what we're getting from our spiritual entourage. So this opposition or this conflict, it's arising, but you can see in this painting, it truly is, it's okay. They are connected. And so really exploring both of these parts of yourself, because they're just a part of you. Both are parts, you can see it visually here. They're both parts of you. And even though that might be a person outside of you that you're not really aligning with, let's say this person is really mean to you, that is opposition, right? That's conflict that might be arising, and you get to say no, and you get to use your voice. It's a beautiful thing how the universe works, and it gives us these opportunities to show up for parts of ourselves or learn and integrate these kind of energies. Meaning, if you are being triggered, just being mindful that it is mirroring a part of you. So, for example, if we're using that example about somebody being mean to you. So if somebody was saying to me, Wendy, you're so, let's just use something very immature to so it's easier to see, like, Wendy, you're so unattractive, like you're ugly, like something in middle school or high school or something, I don't know. And if I really felt that I was beautiful or I really loved myself, that wouldn't necessarily trigger me. I could see that that person is actually in pain and they themselves think that they're not attractive, right? But sometimes we're not that big, or we can't rise above those triggers. So we see that and it triggers us. We're like, oh my God, that person's so mean. They're so wrong. So we start turning it. We start blaming them like they're this terrible person, and we're judging, and we're starting to attack them energetically because we feel under attack. And we're not really seeing them for their pain, in which it truly is. It not to say that that's okay. It's not ever okay for somebody to mistreat you, but turning away from the situation, right, and just kind of walking away from that. So when we're triggered, really noticing, why is that bothering me? Well, I don't know if I am attractive. I don't really know if, I don't know if I'm attractive, and that must matter to me on some levels if I'm being triggered. And so really kind of exploring those nuances of like, why does that bother me? Or why do I really believe that? And get kind of really exploring those areas so you can get to the bottom of it and kind of parent those parts, and being like, no, Wendy, you're attractive in your own way, or, learning how to communicate and what your need is. No, you're beautiful. I love you. Right? Because it's truly what it comes down to, is that we all just need to be seen, heard, and validated and loved. So really learning how to do that for yourself, that's a huge piece of this painting. How to integrate these parts is that you really do learn to love both of them. Because as I learn how to, let's say, love myself and not have to get it outside of myself, somebody else doesn't have to tell me that I'm attractive. Or so when somebody actually comes up and says that I'm not attractive, I can look that in the eye and know it as the lie that it is. And I can see that beautiful soul in pain because they're trying to cause somebody else pain, and I can love them too. So it's kind of like part of that pathway. I'm kind of talking around something, but part of that hexagon path that's painted in this painting is that process of really kind of learning how both sides work, and really learning how to nurture yourself if you are being triggered, so that you can come back to this realization that both parts, even the person that might be speaking ill, you can love. So you learn how to love all these parts. And that's this magical entryway into this hexagon shape. You can see here with the dragon, this pathway into this archway is through its heart. That's where its heart is, that centerpiece there. And so really this idea around following your heart and really being honest and transparent with yourself about how you feel. And educate yourself around things you might not know, of like, how do you have a beautiful relationship with yourself? How can I learn how to love myself? What do I do with these parts? Brendan and I do a lot of that stuff during our retreats, and how to navigate that space and how to deep dive, and gives you the tools, psychological tools even, of how to really learn how to love yourself and heal, to really move beyond your past or your programming. So that's a huge component this month. I mean, things are going to be starting to really stir up in a big way, in ways that we haven't really experienced yet. And so, my guides and I can just feel the love that they're really sending to us, because this is only January, and because time is moving so fast at such a beautiful rate, because it's shifting. They're just saying that there's to really tapping into this love that's around us, this love that's for you, this love that's available to you all the time. We don't receive enough. I mean, they feel like that's an epidemic on this planet, is that none of us really truly receive the love that's around us. Because when human beings are fed in this way, it is our natural tendency to give in a balanced way, right? So when we receive, we can give in a balanced way. And learning how to receive is something that's going to be a reoccurring theme this year. So we have this, we have that process of learning how to deal with conflict that's going to arise for us more and more, and really learning how to understand how that is a mirror for us on our path to ascension. So on our path, ascension is such a big word, but on our path to truly understanding the divinity that we are, the light that we are. And if that's too big, even just loving yourself, learning how to love yourself in a beautiful way. The dragon energy is really interesting to me because it keeps coming up, and it's something, like I said, I logically never would have picked. But, just upon my own kind of exploring and research into other religions and things, dragons truly represent energy, an energy system, like an energy. So an entity, if that's an easier way for you to understand it, is like an entity or an energy of really just trying to describe or hold something that is beyond our comprehension as a human being, especially in this 3D reality. So it's a really high frequency. So whenever there's a dragon in a painting, it's like super high frequency, and it's here now. This energy that you see in this dragon and all the dragons that I've been painting is here now. So really tapping into these higher frequencies, and there's a lot of magic here, and there's a lot of information and energy that we didn't have access to before. It is divine femininity, so in this way of even dealing with conflict, it's a specific energy around that of really evolving past this triggering, evolving past this surviving human behavior. And so we talk about that, but that's really what they're asking us to do, or really helping us move through, so we can really go, and really become these master creators intentfully and consciously, because creativity is obviously another part of this energy with dragons, being the breath of fire. And in that creativity, there's a lot of energy around you. So it's about a lot of prepping. This month is like, you can feel like January is typically a month that we go within. And this month, it's like, no, we we're like, we hit the ground running. That's the kind of energy that I feel intuitively around a lot of people, is just like hit the ground running, like we're preparing for something. So come on, we have a lot of work to do kind of energy. But in that creativity, in that fire energy, they wanted to talk about how, when you actually start like a wood burning fire, when you start a fire in real life, right? You have to take care of the fire. If you never moved the wood, if you never stoked the fire, if you never blew on it or used kindling, it wouldn't stay lit for very long. So a lot of this month is about really learning how to stoke your fire. It's like, how do you stay inspired? How do you keep your kundalini, your energy, your drive, your soul, your solar plexus energy? How do you keep that vital and alive and connected? How do you keep your fire stoked? And so, and there's a lot of different ways you could be doing that, but it's important to understand that it's not going to stay lit, because everything has a cycle of life, right? So if a fire just kind of burns out, but you got to keep it stoked. So meaning you have to have a spiritual practice. You have to have you have to do things that keeps your fire burning, meaning you have to go out into the woods if that's what it is. You have to go within and stay away from people for a day to, refuel yourself, to bring yourself back to center. So this month is a lot about keeping that fire stoked, and whatever that means for you. I mean, that's part of this breath here. When that's out of balance, when our energy is out of balance in that way, we tend to use our breath or our voice in more destructive ways, like, because we're now protecting our territory, right? So meaning if you're stressed out and you're tired, right, that's typically when we kind of get triggered and react in ways that aren't necessarily aligned with our higher selves or our hearts. So they're saying, slow down, right? Slow down. Make sure that you're being very mindful of your own fire, your own energy here, because it'll allow for you in those moments not have to be so reactive. So just kind of throwing that out there. This dragon is made up of 11 main circles, 20 altogether. There's 2 on the tail, there's 2 on each ear, there's 2 nostrils, there's 2 circles in the eyes, there's a little heart in the pupil, for those that you can't tell, but there is. And so it's this reiteration of the number 2, and noticing that there's all these 2s, 9 and 11 circles to make a total of 20. I can count. And this 9 is typical of human lesson. So in that way, it's a culmination right before you begin something, right? A 10 is a beginning and an end. So you're kind of in this energy that you can see the new beginning, and you're also in the death of whatever's ending. We're not there yet. We're still in a 9, meaning we don't even know we're ending something yet. We're kind of in lesson. So this month is about kind of being in this lesson energy. Not to say that I don't want to say that either. I don't even know if I was to like a 9 or not. It's just part of our being. This is the part of the process that we're in. So really just noticing what's arising for you. But there's a lot of beautiful things here. I mean, there's such a richness in the color in this painting. I feel like it feeds me, this rich oranges and yellows and purples and blues. And the contradiction between those colors and this white dragon is really beautiful to me. The wingspan of this dragon. So what the dragon is showing us how to fly, right? So how do we fly? How do we make it through? And you can see in the wing itself is this doorway, is this archway. And is we fly by really moving through this archway, which we already talked about, how we integrate these parts by loving them and really trusting the divine communication that's happening in and all around us. It's magical if you can really see that everything is happening for you, not to you. And you're actually nothing there. It's not even the universe that's creating this for you. You're creating this for you. So really recognizing and understanding the divinity that you are, and that this light language, and that's the light language around these wings here, is for you, so really kind of tapping into your own communication with the divine. And in that way, it's going to really open doors for you. It's really hard to get to that higher frequency when we are in lessons sometimes, but it's not like this higher state of awareness is better than the lesson. It's the lesson is why we're here. We're really here to integrate some of learning how to become the light that I am, right? So how do we do that? We need to understand darkness too. And so really holding both light and dark simultaneously, like being aware of both within you at the same time, aware of that life is happening within you. Like there's millions of cells being born in your body in this very moment. And there's also millions of cells that are dying at this very moment. And having an awareness that both are true. We can't just focus on all the life and then not focus on the death, because it would really be minimizing the whole experience. So, there's another piece of the dragon energy. The dragon energy is connected to the crystalline grid of the earth, and the earth itself, the crystalline grid, is talking to us as well. We shift that as we alchemize these energies, and how we change them through our intention and consciousness. That's why we're here too. We're really having this energetic experiment. And so this dragon energy is wanting us to know that we are changing the history of the planet. Just as we heal our own past, the earth itself becomes healed. So as you can look at the person that has hurt you or has called you ugly, like we used earlier, it's so silly to me because it doesn't really bother me, but I think it's a good example of just saying, when you can look at them and really just love them as they're saying that, because you can just see their own pain. It has nothing to do with you. And so you're loving the light, and then you're also being able to love, the person that's forgetting who they are. And so you can do that within your own being. Once that happens, that changes everything. You're changing your past. It means every time that you ever may have been insecure, that frequency no longer even exists within your being. It changes your cells. That's in part why we can really heal our bodies. Our bodies are just mirroring these denser energies that we might not be aware of consciously, emotionally, and mentally. So our body has to jump in and has to show us what we're not recognizing emotionally or mentally, right? So as we learn how to love those parts, and we shift our thinking, and we shift our way of being, and trust the wisdom of what our body's trying to tell us, we could actually completely heal our bodies, and it's like it never existed. I myself have done that, with diseases and things. And though I'm saying it kind of like it works, it's a beautiful thing. So no matter where you are in your path, really, love is a powerful thing. And I hope that you find that for yourself wherever you are. The trees represent knowledge, new and old. And this tree that has fallen does represent really understanding the ending of things and the death cycle of things. So it's telling me that things are ending for us in some ways, just very, physically. It could just be not like we're dying, but like physically there's endings. So those are going to be like relationships or jobs or things that are changing. Lots of those kinds of things that no longer align with who you truly are. So any of those things that are happening for you this month, it's just to help you get in alignment to where you're meant to go. So this tree, this fallen over tree, has come up several times. December's painting, it came up. You can see it here. And the very first fallen over tree that I channeled in a painting is in this one. It's called Into the Mystic, and it really is about Anubis, which is the one of the gods of Egyptian mythology, and just about how He weighs your life with a feather when you first cross over to the other side. So in this way, it's about entering into the spirit realm and really understanding the infinite beings that we are. Like we just keep changing form. And we know that even from a scientific point of view, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can just change forms. I mean, that is a rule, that is a law of physics. So it does apply to us. So it's really understanding and shifting our relationship with those things. It also does depict that there's so much more going on. And, Brenda and I are exploring just different realms. There's portals to different realms. And there's other people and beings that have really love exploring those kind of portals to different dimensions. And this painting talks about, it holds some of that frequency where those other realms and those other dimensions are right here. They really do not reside in the frequency of modern society. That modern society is really rigid, and honestly, it's really slow, not in a judgmental way, but it moves very slow. And it's very... just controlled would be the best way I would say or feel about it. I mean, it's not very open. It's just like it has very specific rules and it wants you to follow it around everything, what you wear, what you eat, what you're supposed to look like, all of those things. So this other realm, these other realms, and some of them that are held in this painting are in the woods. It's about really returning back to the sacred circle. And just like this pathway here in this painting is like a hexagon being the most durable and efficient shape, very strong. It's a very efficient shape, meaning it's very strong for, it's like the strongest shape based on its actual parameters. So, and it's interesting that the bees do that. The bees create this hexagon shape naturally by following their joy. Bees definitely represent joy, and it's also following your sweetness. So following your sweetness, you're going to find the best work, easiest work, and with the most efficiency, so giving you the most abundance by following your joy. So I find that interesting. But also the sense of community, so hence a sense of this hive tribe kind of mentality, this hive mind kind of mentality. And so this path, this hexagon shape, I mean, that's really where we're moving into. The sacred circles are coming back. We have to repair our sense of community because we need each other. So that's another huge theme. So really kind of recognizing those needs that we have with each other. It's okay. It's okay to want friends. It's okay to want a romantic relationship, or if you have a romantic relationship, wanting that to be deeper, more intimate. It's okay to have those needs. Those are so normal, right? So it's going to bring up some of those things this month. And because we're in that 9 number energy, it feels like this month, it really feels like it could be, not very comfortable, meaning noticing that you have the need and it's not being met. And as soon as you recognize what needs you really have with this uncomfortable energy, it's going to move you into a 10, which means you're going to end some certain things, certain behaviors, maybe maybe being alone and moving into partnership, or moving into that new beginning. So you can move into the 10, which then you can move into the 11, and the 11, going back to the dragon, is actually a number 2, right? So it's a number 2 on a whole nother level. It's like an interdependence. It's not a codependent, it's an interdependent, having 2 single individuals standing next to each other, wholly in their power, kind of coexisting and amplifying each other, which is beautiful, right? That's what we all want. So really moving into that 11, which is just a love energy. It's kind of amazing. There's more to the dragon. Each one of those circles had different energy in it. I could feel it and see it. It was almost like they didn't really want me to paint it, so it became less logical. It's almost like they want you to tap into the energy of the painting itself and see what you feel would be inside of these circles. But there are like 11 different elements that this dragon itself holds, the wisdom that it holds in regards to the human experience. The last thing I wanted to kind of talk about with the dragon was the crown on top of its head. In Revelations in the Bible, it spoke of a woman coming down with a crown with 12 spikes, and this crown too has 12 spikes, and I feel like it's was telling of an age of this divine femininity coming to the planet, and really recognizing how to nurture that divinity within and why it came through as a female. So kind of this rebalancing of the energies happening on the planet, and the crown here on this dragon represents that. So it's really it is a mastery of this self-knowledge, and as you're doing that, you master this wisdom within you, and you really learn how to love yourself, doing all of these things that we talk about in these videos, and Brenda and I break it down in the retreats that we do. Just really shifts your frequency to where you're shining in ways that you might not even realize, and on dimensions that are really profound. So I feel like that's part of what this dragon is holding as well. This going back to the fallen tree and into the mystic, it was this painting I actually created during COVID, and it's really about going into the cave, like going within, going into those darker parts of ourselves. And by going into that death is actually when we become life again. And it really is deep and profound, because it's almost like it's counterintuitive to what we think. We don't want to go into the pain. We don't want to go into those darker emotional spaces within ourselves. But if you trusted what I'm saying and you dive deeper, meaning you felt it more, not less, and you really allowed yourself to sit in that and be in that, and allowed yourself to acknowledge all of that darkness, that's when you're actually transforming it into light. And that's what this tree fallen over is. It's almost like ancient knowledge that has been forgotten. And that's the other side of this path. Like, we need both. We need an understanding of this, the power of what death truly is, or ending truly is, or darkness truly is. And we also have to have an understanding and a wisdom of what light and love is. But I truly feel like love is actually both, or light is both. I haven't really figured that out, because it's almost like love is on a completely different dimension, where light and darkness do need to coexist, at least in this reality. We need light and dark to really fully encompass what love is. So I feel like that's enough for now. I would love to hear your thoughts on this painting, and I can't wait to show you what's in it for February. Stay tuned to our podcast, because we're going to kind of expand on some of these ideas further and further. All right, sending love. Till next time. You can collect a card of each painting I create each month by joining our Quantum Power Deck subscription. It's only $30 a month. You get a card in the mail along with a little nice channeled message from Spirit, and you also get to attend our Messages from the Universe every month virtually for free.